A Nation back with Dennis Wilson from Southern California. Dennis with one N, how you doing?
Just fine, Harry. How you doing?
Good. Yeah, you were the easiest person to find on LinkedIn with that unusual first name spelling, man. The
Yep.
hardest person, the hardest person's an MSP in our audience out of Denver, Colorado, named Jack Smith. And I'm like, oh no, I'm never going to find him on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, hey, let's talk Teams. I started out Microsoft Teams. I started out not liking Teams. I was assisting a
I would.
client. Yeah, it must have been, 6 years ago, 5 years ago. It's come a long way. Where do we sit today with Teams?
Well, Teams just came out with a new update a couple of weeks ago that really, did some stuff that is unique to Microsoft and looks really good in comparison to Zoom. Um, Microsoft continues to gamely try it, and stay up with the Zoom type uh, um, applications, and they seem to be doing a good job of that. They just on this last update, on a quick overview basis, um, they've added Teams to Microsoft Store, so it's quickly available for download and by you and your users, so they can go get what they need to have to participate in these team type calls. They have, in addition to that, um, the Windows 11 now has included chat into Windows 11, so they've got the team chat. Although it's got a downside to that, is now they've got more than one application that is Teams.
Yeah.
That's one thing that Microsoft didn't want to do. So I'm not sure what's happening with that. But that we'll see over the next couple of months and where that goes. But in addition, they're improving the video quality. They've added together mode, like you can have an entire auditorium full of faces that you're talking to. And it's easy to get into. That's one of the problems that Microsoft has had in the past, is that Teams was not as easy as Zoom, and I think that they're doing a good job in fixing that issue. And the other thing that surprised me was, because it was something I hadn't seen yet, is the ability to be compatible with VDI. So that, there's so many VDI users today, you've got to assume that they're going to do some Zoom stuff, and they're making it much easier to do pop out chats and take control and move the control around. So the VDI is starting to look very much like you're just sitting at anywhere and making things happen. So yeah, it's looking really good.
Yeah. Yeah. I Jennifer Hallmark, well known to the listening audience, she discovered she's been spending some time with Teams, much more than myself, and I probably need to fix that. But she discovered we could run our webinars off of Teams, and we actually did one. We learned two or three things along the way, but that's okay. And Dennis, what that does is we have the baseline Zoom account just for Zooming, right? Like
Yep.
this particular call with you. But it's fairly expensive to add the webinar module to Zoom, right? And that's why we left GoToMeeting and GoToWebinars. It's like, wow, we're going to save all this money.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Zoom figured it out.
Yeah.
They made it a separate module. But we did a webinar with Teams, and it is essentially free. And it's like, that's great.
Yeah.
And
it's so much more powerful than the typical Zoom type of functionality. You can use the simplicity, and that works in certain environments. But boy, when you're trying to do the kind of things that you do, you need to have some of those controls.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Dennis, let's wrap on this. You and I off camera were talking about, events are slowly but surely coming back. They in many cases look different than they did pre-pandemic. Are you going to go to anything in the next quarter? Is there an ASCII or a Channel Pro or
Yeah.
a this? What are you going
Yeah.
to?
In fact, as I told you, I was just talking to Joshua Lieberman about the same subject here last week, and both of us had decided that and he loves to travel,
Oh,
but the cost of
he
travel,
travels more than me.
yeah, that's hard to do. But the cost of travel has now reached astronomical levels,
Yeah.
and so I'm taking a look at. There's quite a number of things that are available to me locally, uh, and in Las Vegas, and both of those are driving distance, and I don't need to screw around with the air flight. The one thing that doesn't that is a negative about that is that we do a lot of ConnectWise, and ConnectWise has all their stuff out in Florida.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure when I'm going to. I mean, I've got to go to Florida, but I'm not sure when it's going to be. It's not going to be this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you, I got to tell myself, and the listeners have heard this. I relocated to Austin, Texas, and I promised myself I would not spend the month of August here. It's horrible. It's actually horrible right
Yes.
now. We're in a heat dome, so it's horrible now. But at one point, Dennis, I was going to go back home to Alaska for much of July and then Seattle for all of August. And I can't justify Alaska. I just, the airfare and my car, I have a car in Seattle. I don't have a car in Alaska. You know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
Alaska in and of itself is already expensive, right? It's like Europe. And it's like, guys, I mean, I could dig into savings, but Dennis, it's not prudent. I prefer to pay out of cash flow and be comfortable with what I'm paying.
Well, that's what I think a lot of us have decided, is that we've been doing virtual get-togethers for 2 years, and you know what? It works. It gets, I'm having all the information that I normally would get. I've been able to get. The principal issue has been the one-on-one, meetings in the hallways and that sort of thing. And for that stuff, you do a local, Las Vegas show or LA show, and that's fine. It's fine. And I think that we have made that, we being the MSP industry has made that decision and has found that reality is that I don't need to go do all these shows.
Well, I'll end on that. And we'll get you back next quarter, but the look in the mirror I've had, both personally and professionally, is, what was I doing traveling to these shows where there really wasn't business benefits for me? And I mean this kindly, but Channel Pro's been a strategic partner. I would be invited to their show in Newark, New Jersey. Dennis, I go to the show and there's not really anything I can sell, right? I mean, and the other thing is I knew all the attendees. And I mean, it's nice to see, Frank Olhurst and people I know and care for. But I just had this look in the mirror and I said, what was I doing traveling that much? So, hey, I got to
make a decision.
All right, man. You take care. We'll catch you next quarter.
Bye now.
All right. Bye.